It is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you are tuned in to RIP Radio Network, which can mean one and only thing. That this is Chip Chat. Welcome to Kaepernick Chat.
It is Kaepernick Chat tonight.
Woo! Yeah, woo! All right, so welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Chip. Tez, who you rocking tonight?
I'm just rocking a nice Nationals hat, and I guess it's for any of our folks who are watching. I have on my only NFL jersey I own now, which I even, if you can see right now on the video, I've taken the shield off and I've replaced NFL with RIP.
Did you did all the customization on this?
So long story short, my boy, shout out to my boy Twan. He was in Brooklyn. I forgot the name of the brand who was doing these, and this was early on. I think this was even just more concussion era, maybe. It might have been maybe the start of the Kaepernick stuff as well too. I might have a little off base, but they were doing the actual. They made these patches, and he caught me one of the patches, and then I got my aunt to go ahead and sew it on. I sent the jersey to her.
Nice.
Yeah. So
and this is basically your radio uniform. You've been wearing this.
Yeah.
For most of the shows. Okay, so we're kind of getting at what we're gonna tonight. We have basically three main stories, which is the possible beginning of the end of the NFL, a la Brian Flores and everything else. My part of that, which is the end of the Washington football team and the beginning of the Commanders. I don't know how I feel about that, but I stand by my sentiment to sell the team. I hate Dan Snyder, and I hope he sells me the team. I've got $23.
Okay, add 13.
Yeah, and also we have Trump is trying to unmake the republic as per usual, but now he's like admitting to it in public, and there's been some more details, and he got in a fight with Lindsey Graham on Newsmax. It's like crazy stuff going on there. So we're gonna talk about that. Also, we have a fantastic guest this week. She's actually been on the show before. Her name is Carla. She's been on the show before because we were featuring her vintage gear shop. She sells t-shirts and like lunch boxes and stuff of bands and music and sort of cultural things from the 80s and other eras, but mostly the 80s. Very cool. She's got this Airstream. She goes all over the country. It's like a whole thing. So we talked to her about that. That's what we know her for. But also she was recently in this documentary on Discovery about LuLaRoe, which is an insane pyramid scheme revolving around Mormon leggings, which is probably the most ridiculous sentence I've ever uttered. Until right now, when I tell you that the Onion headline has come true, that parents in the state of Alabama have filed suit against Black History Month because they call it critical race theory, which we thought was an Onion headline, and that did actually happen.
I was wondering if we were just all setting this up to kind of get to Black History Month and be like,
of course we were.
I don't know.
Why is it got to be Black History Month?
I don't want to dive too much. I don't want to dive deep into this because we could derail the whole show on this. But It is kind of crazy that Black History Month is created really to battle Birth of a Nation.
Right.
Like that's the reason.
Like specifically,
Specifically, that's the reasoning for it. And that it's almost like, we're in a lost cause situation again. It's very.
The valiant segregationalists went down swinging as they stood up for states' rights. Question face. And I don't know.
Lord, I will save it to the end of the show.
That's a whole nother
but I'll tell you that what just uplifted me is looking on our guest's vintage shop, because I feel this a lot. The only thing holding my shit together is this bag. It's on a tote bag, and I felt that. So
if you pledge however many dollars that is to Decades Rock and Pop, you can get one of those tote bags and avoid listening to us do the pledge drive for a week. That's an NPR joke. Speaking of NPR, Special shout out to friend of the show and probably greatest person on earth, Celeste Headley, because her book, Speaking of Race, and her sort of general quest to get people to talk to each other has paid off handsomely for me tonight in a long personal conversation with somebody who, until tonight, was pretty fluent in various anti-Semitic tropes. And
oh wait, this actually, because we were talking
about this
book
earlier today.
Yeah.
I have been in conversation with this individual all day, and it worked. He decided that maybe he shouldn't be saying some of these things.
And it was either like a call on the phone or
direct text messages.
See, there we okay, yeah.
And it worked. I mean, unbelievable.
That book again,
it's gonna save the country.
I do really think that is a required reading because it even challenged me to think of some different things like a little bit differently.
I'm this close to actually reading it. Like I haven't really read it because we had her on the show and she told us about what was in the book, so I didn't feel like I had to read it. But and then I heard her on Fresh Air a bunch of times, whatever. She tells me about it in person.
There you go.
She's right. Do what Celeste Headley says. Always. What would Celeste Headley do? That should be the new bracelets.
Yeah.
Carla, can you make us bracelets that say what would Celeste Headley do? And then we'll buy 6 of them.
We'll also put those on the
merch shop.
Merch shop on our Old Bay cans eventually.
That's right.
We're just put and speaking
there's
of
our merch shop. Go to theripshop.com, buy our stuff. We have new stuff. I think there's added stuff, and we have there's new Rip Radio stuff with our new fancy logo. By the way,
can I send a picture of like my mom's dog, and can you send your dogs? Can we get those?
We should get like real Chip Chat dogs.
Yeah, we have some dogs.
We have a lot of dogs in our lives. We should be leveraging their cuteness. We're sleeping on that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So
okay, that was a hell of an intro. So
well, we're so good at this.
We got a lot going on. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a break, and as we usually do. When we come back, we're gonna hit the story about Trump trying to overthrow the government because that's dangerously pressing on all of us. And then the next stuff will happen. So you got your word?
Yeah, because it's a made up word. I think it is. I don't know if anybody's ever said this, but I don't know. I'm going to debut it here from me, and this is going to what I'm going to use now to describe certain folk.
Okay, all right. We already have this word sweeps. I think you've made it.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I do have that one. And I've never used that. I don't think as the word, but.
All right. Well, I guess I'm ready with my word then. Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. So sit back, grab some
Trumplicans.
It's Canada Goose time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Ripped Radio Network.
Sweeps.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I am your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
Yo, what's poppin'?
All right, so say your word again for everybody because it's very relevant.
Trumplicans.
Trumplicans.
Yeah.
Okay. Explain the definition of this word.
Former Republicans who no longer believe in rule of law and upholding our constitutional norms and seem to have subscribed to authoritarian rule.
So all of them except Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. Got it. Who got censured by her own party today. Her response was shut the fuck up. And they did because her name is Cheney. And they know what happens. So, all right, let's get into this. So basically, Trump tried to unmake the world. We all know about that. But what happened was he did that thing where he said the quiet part out loud.
I mean, he keeps doing this in
which he
certain
keeps
areas.
doing. He just basically will,
Crazy.
if you give him enough time, confess to everything. So he issued this state. Okay, let's rewind a little bit. The Senate is a disaster of a place where nothing happens. But one of the least decent people on the planet, Susan Collins, accidentally said something decent, in which she said, maybe we ought to fix the law that the January 6th rioters were citing that they think gave Mike Pence to the power to undo the election. Why don't we fix that to make absolutely sure everybody knows that's not a thing you can do? There is Trump
steal the election at the state level, but once it's stolen there, just let it go through when we do this ceremony.
That's exactly what she meant to say, yes. But she's from Maine, so nobody can understand her. So they thought that she said clarify the law. And then the other senators were like, oh, okay, we should maybe do that. We should clarify this law from the 1870s and get this right. And so then, of course, because he doesn't have Twitter, Trump has to issue statements, which takes a slight bit longer, but also means that they're just as wacky and stupid as his tweets. Here's the quote, but in order to make this sound right, I'm going to read it as if I'm Eric Cartman, because that is, I think, the level of intelligence that we're dealing with here. You ready?
Let's go. Let's do it. I'm ready.
If the Vice President, Mike Pence, had absolutely no right to change the presidential election results in the Senate, despite fraud and many other irregularities, how come Democrats and rhino Republicans like wacky Susan Collins are desperately trying to pass legislation that will not allow the vice president to change the results of the election? I hate you, Kenny.
That's what he wrote.
That's so good. Bravo. I wish I had the bell.
I've had
I really wish I had the bell. You've had a long
20-something years to get good at that.
Yeah, I can tell you've practiced that. Every piece of downtime you've had in your life, you've practiced that.
I used to download wave files of South Park sounds onto floppy disks. I could fit 4 or 5.
I was going to say, you're not getting that many sounds on that.
Yeah, I could fit 4 or 5 on there, and that was about it. And that was a huge attention magnet in high school back then. This is the 90s. Shut up. Whatever.
I was there. I wasn't doing that one though.
Thank you, guys.
So anyway, so that's what he said. And basically what he's saying is that he thinks that if they're going to fix the law, it means that Mike Pence could have done the thing and overturned the election. But in so doing, issuing the statement, he essentially said, or he didn't essentially, he directly said that he wanted Mike Pence to overturn the election, which means that he did just admit to insurrection, sedition, you name it. I mean, treason, for God's sakes. It is all there. So, predictably, all of the Republicans, what was your word?
The Trumplicans.
Yeah, they said nothing. With all the newspapers were like, yo, do you have anything to say about where he just said overturn the election? And they all went, sorry, I got a flight to catch.
It's just like when he had, but it's crazy now. It's like when
it was like a Tuesday. They did not have a flight to catch.
Even when he was in office and he would say crazy things, we always used to hear it. It's like, well, President Trump has just tweeted. Oh, I don't have Twitter.
Yeah,
they lie.
I
don't have a Twitter. I'm not on that.
Lie on top of lies. So, no, but in this case, they all just basically didn't return the calls.
Didn't call. So.
They wouldn't talk about it. But all of these people who you can see in this picture here, that's Dumb Kevin, Elise Stefanik, who's from a part of New York that's in Canada, and Steve Scalise, who got shot playing baseball but still supports everybody having AR-15s, and who Trump said his wife was a baby because she was crying about him nearly being dead in front of her and him, and then made him laugh about that. All of them, their lives were... Yeah, that's true. You didn't remember that?
I didn't remember that, but like that again, we're just in it's a scary time where because the leadership supporting that is just, I mean, it's spineless at a certain point, because and that's where I feel like it is kind of because if the two-party system in this country, we could go on and on about that, but it is what it is. But what they're doing right now is, again, insidious in a certain way, in a certain level that I don't know. It's disheartening. It is disheartening.
Yeah. So
because the law, I mean, and also too, I guess, what is your thoughts around like going ahead and changing some of these laws? Like, I mean, I don't know. I have a few.
If you're willing to go get into this whole thing where like we'll let you steal it, but then the counting has to be the right thing. You're admitting that there's a problem, but sort of furthermore, it is, you know, there's this thing called like authoritarian envy, and this is generally thought of in terms of when you're talking about like other countries that don't have democracy, and sometimes they can do great things kind of quickly and easily. People often talk about Singapore. You know, they say, well, Singapore is so great because it's really clean. There's no crime. You know, they're very advanced technologically and climate change and all that stuff. That's true, but they also have no freedom of speech or anything like that. And the reason that they're so advanced, if you want to call it that, is because they literally beat people who litter. And that's a problem. You can achieve great things if you're willing to just bulldoze humanity. As long as everybody's like fat and happy, I guess they sort of more or less let you get away with it, but it doesn't make it an okay thing. And the second that veneer cracks, all hell is going to break loose. I mean, look at China right now. You know, China is dealing with that. Their whole deal that they cut implicitly with their population was, as long as the economy keeps growing, y'all going to shut up about not having any rights, right? And they all go, yeah, that's fine. But now that like things are kind of slowing down a little bit and the people are like, hey, this kind of sucks, then they're like, well, off to the camps with you. So like, you know, here we have that. The Republican Party is sort of looking over at Putin, looking over at Xi and others like them and thinking, I mean, these guys got it right. You know, they don't have to put up with anything. They don't have real elections. They don't have to answer to anybody. We should have that. And of course we should have that because we're right about everything anyway. And everybody should just do what we say. And, you know, if they just played ball and shut up for a little while, they'll have everything as good as the people of Russia have it. And then you go, have you ever been to Russia? And they go, no, that place is a shithole. And you go, right.
And so, but I think that there's a good amount of the populace that's ready for that. Because you hear them, and you've probably seen these things as well too. And I think this almost stretches across, I think there's a majority of folks, right, who maybe are like, you would be the typical folks who vote for Trump, and right, you would say they're like non-college white, like folks who didn't go to college, right? You would say it was that, but I do think it might stretch greater than that, where there's a lot of folks who are just like, democracy is just too hard. This is just insane. I don't really want to like think about a lot of these things anymore, because you hear like, well, you see what China's doing with this, or you hear the population.
Yeah, because they're only getting pieces of it, and
what is going on? That's not like, you know,
if we are at all primed for that, it is entirely intentional because of the intentional defunding of education and removal of basic any fucking clue from the general population. I mean, America has long dealt with this sort of proud idiot problem where people, you know, we had a whole political party called the Know Nothings. You know, I mean, these guys are like literally proud of I don't know much about that.
Into this as well too, right? Because I think if you start seeing those super gaps in between, like, right, who controls all the wealth, I think people, I guess you can almost twist populism in a way, which has already been done.
Sure.
To get folks to be like, oh, I'm here to fight for the common man, the working class, or whatever we like to always say, the
working class, meaning the white working class.
White working class.
None of the actual working class.
You almost are able to kind of take populism and kind of like switch it a little bit and make it, and you get someone like a Trump who, how do you not see through that at all? Like, how is the billionaire real estate who got a gift,
inherited everything and never had to work a day, and it's like, I mean, you're right. If what you're looking for is evidence that the population is somehow primed and ready to believe a thing that is completely imaginary and totally unsustainable, then yeah, you look at Trump and you look at the followers he has. The fact of the matter is, 75 million people voted for Trump. 83 million people voted for Biden. So there's still millions and millions more people who don't subscribe to this theory. It is very alarming that there were 75 million people who are
scary.
okay with that.
It's really scary, actually.
And God willing, Omicron and Delta will,
I hate to know,
manage that for us, and we won't have to deal with it. But I don't know. I don't know. But let's
I'm okay
focus.
with that as well too. I'm okay with saying I don't know with a lot of this stuff.
Let's focus on the task at hand, which is that we have this problem now where you've got Trump, a former president who has admitted to crimes in public, and we don't have this tradition of prosecuting and throwing in jail former leaders.
No one's ever did this. No one's ever treated it this way.
Right. And so the conundrum, if you want to call it that, to put it lightly in front of the Justice Department is, what are we supposed to do about this? And because, like, by any measure, this is an open and shut case. The evidence is there that you've got a willingly participating guilty defendant who's perfectly willing to confess as much and as fast as possible all the time, along with a number of henchmen who are willing to confess as much and as quickly as possible, including, Roger Stone and Rudy Giuliani, who is apparently a masked singer or some other. I mean, that's an insane headline.
It is. I saw that headline as well too. Hopefully, oh my God, I hope Chloe's not watching because she loves Masked Singer, and that would be a big spoiler alert.
No, on the list. Oh, so, but like all of this stuff, it's like, this is the right thing to do, right? You want to save the republic. This is what you do. But then there's also what you don't do, because it does inflame those 75 million people, and they have all the guns, and they are very fucking crazy. And they're so crazy that this came out today that the butterfly refuge along the Texas border has had to shut down because the QAnons think that it is a sex trafficking border crossing hub and are trying to go and like storm the place, including some lawmaker from Virginia or candidate anyway, I should say, from Roanoke, who went down there and demanded to see the river crossings and the rafts and all of the children that they're keeping. And it's very Pizzagate, but it's in South Texas and it's on the, a butterfly preserve. That all happened. And it is still currently happening. It's closed right now because they're worried about these people attacking butterflies. So imagine if we did something for real. Like, imagine if the DOJ actually moved on this and indicted somebody, and they were like, "Oh, well, we know Judiciary Plaza. We're gonna go right there." Like, it'd be it.
I go back and forth with this, but I mean, look. From everything that I've, I guess, been able to, as looking back on any democracy, again, this is what we're trying to do, and this whole idea around it is very difficult. But certain things, if we want to have these pieces of paper that are supposed to have, like, right, we're supposed to, if this is supposed to be the guidelines, and we've updated these guidelines over the years, and they probably need to be updated again, but that's a whole different story because no one's going for that shit at this point. But what we have right now, we have to use, and whatever the outcome is of that, so be it. Like, so fucking be it at that point. Because, like, if you look through the evidence, and I think we'll talk about this in the next story, and it is what it is, then I think you should go forward with those prosecutions. And I know that, like, that's not, I know it's not, like, historically we've never done this, but there's no precedent for like what's happening right now and what happened the last 4 years. There's nothing. And I mean, we're a republic. So more than likely this stuff is like, we're going to give this away, like, right, via the votes, quote unquote. We're going to give this away, but it's not there yet. And we were the only democracy to kind of survive something that had, like, January 6th. I think we don't look at that in that way, that
I think we need to look at it as bad as the Civil War. I mean, it is as threatening to the Union as the Civil War.
It is that. I think it's a step below because the Civil War was the act, like that thing actually happened. I think it is one step below that, but I do think the fact that we were able to still, like, the transition of power still happened. We folks, those right,
kinda
well, no,
kinda, because
not the peaceful. That's dead.
No. But in Trump world, they believe simultaneously that the election was stolen and also that Trump is still president.
That's fine.
So, like, well,
I mean, it's not fine, but I'm saying, like, that's not the facts. And like, the election happened. If you need to prosecute Donald Trump, then you prosecute Donald Trump. Like, it's simple.
And take what may.
We might have to. We might have to eat that because, again, that strife might be what's. I mean, and I just think a very young country. Like, I'm thinking, and you know that we're super young.
Put your Union Jack on before you start saying this part.
Oh Lord God, we're a young country, and I just think strife is part of that, right? Like, and we're in a crazy point right here, and I don't wish that upon anything, but I don't think the fear of it can prevent us from, again, following these, like, the law, right?
I think once again we are at a point where you are morally correct, but maybe not feasibly correct.
But then, what are we doing this for? Then
I don't know.
Then it doesn't matter.
I mean, I don't know.
Then the things on these papers, which I know they don't matter if no one enforces them, but, like,
well, they matter 3/5 of the time.
There exactly.
That's. I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. It's like it's exactly that.
It's what you enforce, right? It is, and that's how I look. It's what you enforce. If you don't enforce that, I mean, that tells me that just tells me enough. Like, at that point, because, again, you're worried about the strife, but the opposite is a different type of strife that I don't like. It could be.
Well, you're inviting it to happen again and again and again.
But once it flips, it could be 50 years before anything else changes.
It could be more than that.
It could be more than that. It could be permanent.
So I mean, Putin's been in power for how long? It could be that, and I don't know. I mean, it's up there with that same question of, like, how do we reintegrate these people into reality who believe that there's children being sex trafficked through a butterfly preserve? It's so outlandishly stupid that it almost can't be managed. And it would be funny if it weren't so dangerous.
Yes, it would be. It would be funny.
The thing. It is kind of hilarious.
Yeah. It's like the laugh to stop from crying piece of it. And I think what we should try to do, though, is I think, like, obviously the speed of data and how it moves and how we consume it now is changed completely. But propaganda has been happening since forever. And again, I don't want to say, but
but we're at a critical point. I mean, we're at a very critical point. We've got the district attorney or the state's attorney there in Fulton County, who is moving ahead with the grand jury investigation into Donald Trump in his attempt, not just alleged, but actual attempt to get Georgia to change votes, which we have all heard the recordings of. And she is getting death threats. So she's got to ask the FBI, wrote an open letter to the FBI saying, hey, you guys, by the way, I'm getting a lot of death threats, more than usual. Would you mind paying attention to it?
And because listen to this. The quote from her is like, I'm asking you that you immediately conduct a risk assessment of the Fulton County Courthouse and Government Center, and that you provide protective resources to include intelligence and federal agents, right? So you're asking, like, to bring, because based on, again, threats that are happening there. I mean, it's insane. I mean,
well, the real question I have is, how much can you really trust any of the people that they send to protect you? Because I think that this sort of white ethnos nationalism runs extremely deep, and especially within law enforcement. So I don't know. I
think that as well too. But I also just wonder as well, like, does that differ at all from, like, this, like, leading up to the Civil War and even starting, like, right? There's racists in there. There's people like that. But, like, I do think some folks think that, hey, we know, like, this, there's still the union piece of this, right? And I still think, like, the country and us, like, I still believe that there's.
I don't know. I think that for a lot of these people that cohesive glue that is the country doesn't exist anymore, because they don't think of it as the country. They think of it as my country.
Right.
And,
No,
you know, it is the shape that I prescribe and nothing else. I mean, I am somebody who believes in the sort of American exceptionalism in a certain sense. You know, we're the ones who went to the moon. We're the ones that stormed the beaches in Normandy. You know, but I'm the son of a boomer. You know, like I can reach back and touch the war, and as that gets farther into the recedes into the past, this sort of America alone as the great example becomes darker and darker, and it gets almost impossible to rally around.
Yeah, and
I don't know what else to call that.
Yeah, and we're exceptional in very terrible ways as well too, where there's
of
mass
course
incarceration and like it's like, and I think it's like that the duality of the story sometimes doesn't necessarily get told on there, and then also a lot of folks
it's illegal to tell
a story now, exactly. Yeah. So, and I think right, we just want to erase those pieces of it. Which
a whole month in Alabama.
Yeah, right. They wanted that breaking news.
There's no February in Alabama. It's critical race theory. They banned it. So that's actually happening. So,
and it's just crazy the states that this is like. Again, the states.
No, it's not.
I know it's not crazy. Look, I know it's not crazy, but I'm just saying, like, in a sense that more so, not like. I mean, I think I should be probably careful.
Next, you're gonna tell me there's redwoods in California.
It's I'm more bewildered. So I don't mean crazy. More bewilderment again. That it's like, yo, guys, this ain't new.
No.
Like, this is all happening all over again. We'll see. That's what I'm saying. Hey, prosecute.
Let's watch.
And if it makes people upset and they want to come storm stuff, hey, well, again, maybe the strife is needed.
Maybe we believe in the Second Amendment here in DC all of a sudden. Yeah. What we should do is close all the. Remember, apparently the Oath Keepers. This is one of the things that the guys who have turned state's evidence were like figuring out whether they could get boats to sail across the Potomac to deliver their guns that they had stashed in Virginia for this rally, which tells you how absolutely unprepared they are. Because even if you did paddle across the river and landed, like, say, at the tidal basin, it is quite a schlep from there all the way up to the Capitol. And if you're carrying a bunch of guns, which are very heavy, you're going to peter out before you get there and be of any kind of reasonable use.
Maybe
especially after rowing across that choppy ass water.
Right. What are they trying to like? Maybe
I was on the crew team. I'll tell you, that ain't no easy part of the river to row on.
I've watched folks do crew on that, and it's insane. But I would say maybe they would have like one of those like those lines where each person hands a gun, and eventually the gun will make it to like the front line.
They don't have that many people. They run out of sandwiches before they. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to the star of the show, our guest, Carla, because we want to talk to her about pyramids, and not the kind that my ancestors built, but like, the schemes. So we're going to find out about that. It's going to be crazy. You're listening to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network.
Sweet.
You see, I've made it this far. I'm like a hobo or a hobbit with a ring and a goblet, trying to make sure I'm not cut off a bobbit and not shut off like a tap and a faucet when the bills pile up and it's food or the lights and a toss up. What's up? See, they telling me one thing, it's like a ring to grab, like a carrot had a stick with a rope with a noose in the back. But I'm like a black rabbit and a black cat had a baby, and so I hop to it like it's bad luck, and just maybe it'll all work out. And I'll get the goods and avoid the trap, or it's back to square one once again. Being here so many times, it's like once we're friends, we make amends and make amends again. Get it? I don't. Not this again. Not this again. Not this again. Not this again. Risking my life and that of my next of kin. They don't know. It's like I'm a showboat in a slow boat on fast waters. They in a towboat. And when it busts, there ain't no floats.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I am your host, Chip. With me is Tez. Tez, do you recognize that song, that voice?
That's Roger, right?
That is Roger.
I
That's
was gonna say, you know why? Because I've realized I enjoy his style of music. I really enjoy it. Like I was just listening to this and I was like, yeah, he's just.
So
I'm a fan.
That was Roger Mooking. He was our guest. What was it? A week ago? 2 weeks ago. Oh yeah, when the baby was born. Yeah. So he was our guest 2 weeks ago. Actually, the episode that we did with him, where we played his music with him there on it, got the music parts of it silenced by the great censors on the internet, because it was his music and we didn't license it from him, even though he sent it to us to play.
Hold on, no, I need to talk to somebody on that one. No, it's on. If you, whoever, it got
monetized for him, so he gets to run ads on our broadcast for those episodes, which is fine.
Of course, yeah. I mean,
it's his music. We should let him get paid. Yeah, it's not like anybody watches our show.
Our show, anyways. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of people who do watch our show, though, or at least know of us, Carla is the owner of the famous Decades Rock and Pop Shop, and the even more famous Airstream trailer that she takes all over the country, selling vintage T-shirts and other gear out of that Airstream. But how she got that Airstream is a sordid and twisted tale, which was recently made into a documentary for the Discovery Channel's new streaming service, Discovery Plus, which I highly recommend you steal a subscription to if you don't want to pay for one. So Carla joins us now to tell us the rest of the story. Carla, welcome back to Chip Chat.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. It's good to see you guys again.
We are very excited to have you. So first and foremost, we want to congratulate you and your Bengals on your Super Bowl attendance.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that was so exciting. That final kick was.
Oh my God, yeah. Money McPherson is the real deal. Yeah.
It's been a frenzy here too. Everybody's crazy excited.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, we're all.
It's not often that you have a guy who looks like he smoked 3 blunts and got hit in the face with a shovel somehow lead your team to a Super Bowl.
He looks like he would sell you a fake gold watch over in Chinatown or something. He'd be like,
yes. He looks like one of your best customers, to be honest.
Maybe I should send him something.
Yeah. Send him I don't know, a Jimi Hendrix, shirt, and he'd look great in that.
Vanilla Ice. I think he looks like Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, that's what everybody's saying. Yeah, he looks like the Home Alone kid. So let's get into this documentary. Let's talk about this. You were in the LuLaRoe, right? LuLaRoe documentary, because you were in LuLaRoe, which, as far as I can tell, is some sort of weird cult revolving around leggings that don't fit. Yeah. So explain what it was, to the rest of us and all of that.
Yes. I was in the rise and fall of LuLaRoe, so it's different from LuLaRich. I think what's on the screen right there is Amazon.
That's a different movie.
Yeah. But
show the real movie.
I have really good friends in there. I have friends in both films, and I kept I was a LuLaRoe rep, totally separate from Decades. And had every intention to keep it that way. But here we are. So, I was in the rise and fall of LuLaRoe. It started streaming December 13th.
And what is LuLaRoe? Because, I had some vague idea of it because I live in suburbia and I would occasionally see these things on people's lawns. But, I didn't understand what this is. What is LuLaRoe?
So it's like any other direct sales company, multi-level marketing. You build a team. I only had one person with me, but, basically until they changed their company structure, everything was kind of based off of your orders, and it's a whole.
But what are they selling?
Leggings, shirts, dresses. At first it was real cute, kind of outlandish prints and theme stuff. And then the quality just took a dive, and, there was a lot of pressure for the designers to make, I think, 1,000 prints a day. They would steal prints and change it 20% to, kind of cover their legal side of it. And I think they just grew too fast. Way. Yes, that's us. Grew too fast.
You go.
There you go. There we are. And
Was that your actual legs in your segment? Because they started each segment with like a pair of legs. Was that your legs?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But that was one of the producers.
Okay. So
Yeah,
they just made some random. So they're like, "Hey, producer, go put these terrible leggings on and let us take a picture of you."
Yeah, the funny thing was we filmed at an Airbnb, and me having sold LuLaRoe and ordered so much at certain times, when we were trying to figure out whose beautiful home this was, this Airbnb, a package came for one of the producers, and I was like, I bet you anything this is freaking LuLaRoe. Like, right? I was right. I said, oh my God, if I had
no way.
package, I would have taken it in the back and burned it.
That's crazy. So people are still like buying this stuff. It's still out there.
It's still out there. Yeah. There's a fraction of consultants compared to, the big boom of, 2015, 2016.
So, and there's this sort of idea. I mean, I sort of absorbed this as it was going on. And then I guess when I watched the documentary, I kind of got more about it, but like that they're Mormon leggings. Why are they Mormon leggings? What's this whole thing about that?
The whole company is structured. The owners are very, very Mormon. And they will put some of the like Mormon verbiage into their trainings, their seminars. For the longest time, they would impose their religious beliefs on us as far as like the modesty and the things we were allowed to post. First, like when I was a consultant back in 2016 and 17, they didn't even want you wearing jeans in your photos. But
they're selling leggings.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but shirts, dresses, you couldn't wear a LuLaRoe t-shirt with jeans and not get a message from your very, very, very controlling, gaslighting cult. Just all MLMs are like that. All of them. All of them. It's a commercial cult all the way.
We picked that up, but like I wonder also about, so one of the things I saw in the movie was all these events. They have these cruises and they have these conferences and all this kind of stuff. I've been to similar, conferences and things. There's a lot of booze there. Was there no booze at any of these things?
None.
Right. So why go? Who went? I mean, like, what is the purpose of this?
Yeah, you made me think. I mean, I don't even think when I went to convention in 2017 out in California, and there was none. There was none. No drinking.
So those people were like wild and ridiculous and sober.
Yeah, we drank the cult Kool-Aid instead, I suppose.
Wow. Carla, question for you, just because I find like these MLMs it's kind of crazy. And I know for them to legally exist, I think it's like they have to like sell 70% like of all the goods to non-distributors. But like, does that happen, or do you find like the folks who are working in them, do they end up buying a lot of the stuff?
Oh, we bought all of it. All of it. You couldn't ever complain with that particular company about, prints. One important thing is we never chose any of the prints. They were always a surprise. Wow. So sometimes you'd get a really good box. Sometimes you would get a 50-50, but it was never 100% sell through. So you were encouraged actually to order every single day. Place an order every single day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you then like personally buy whatever wasn't sold out of a box, or you just sat on that excess inventory?
Sat on it. I still have some. Oh God, no. They had a buyback program for maybe, I don't know. It lasted, I don't even think it lasted a full 60 days.
So they did have a buyback program, but it's only it didn't last.
No, not a real one.
I asked that because as I was reading through this, that I think even having it for a short period of time, you do these secret things that make these like they're not considered a pyramid scheme because they've offered that for 60 days. And it's because I'm thinking legally, how do you attack this? Like I'm ready to figure out a class action law. Like I don't know how you.
Well, they're in one.
Yeah. And there was one in the state of Washington, and there's a few other states still working on it, honestly. They've been sued left and right a bazillion times.
I'm sure it's insidious.
Yeah.
So when you left, did it feel like you were leaving like a cult or like a religious sort of? I mean, you mentioned that briefly, but because I took from the movie that you get cut off from all these people. Like, what was that like?
You do. One thing about these commercial cults, and I'm going to go ahead and group most all MLMs into them.
Oh, they're all the
That's
same.
fair. Yeah.
And so what they do is, there's so much brainwashing and coercion involved in it. You are, every time you log in, it's if you're not doing well, you're not working hard enough, you end up alienating your true friends and family members most of the time. I say most because there's always going to be a current consultant of somewhere, someplace, something that says, well, I didn't. I'm closer than ever.
Sure.
Right.
I try to be careful, but
they're tired of you trying to sell them stuff all the time.
Yeah, that's a huge
Right.
thing. And so you think that these MLM, it's a sisterhood and it's all of this. Not when you quit. When those dollars aren't going on to your upline's paycheck, they don't have any reason to be your friend anymore. So you lose the whole community that you thought were your friends. It's really, really, really lonely.
While alienating some folks to alienate their real friends, because I can only imagine how much time it takes, and like you get caught in I feel like there needs to be. I get why something like this in this country is allowed to exist, but all of these things is kind of crazy. I get why, because the corporation is a person and you can't attack a person,
right?
That person has rights,
yes.
but it's really crazy that we haven't figured this out yet. Because I also see. It seems there's a certain set of folks who they go after, because
there's a profile, right? Of like
profile.
Who is the prime candidate to be roped into one of these things?
Your prime candidate to be roped in is always they prey a lot on single moms.
Sure.
I'm a widowed single mom. They play into the people that have to work from home, that can't get out and do a 40-hour job. It's a lot of stay-at-home moms. Honestly, I'd have to say most.
And their material is very focused on that kind of idea that you can make full-time pay for part-time work.
Yes.
And which, so like my read of that was they're targeting everybody who has never taken Econ 101 because they would absolutely know better.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What is the percentage of people who are college educated who end up in these things?
I would love to give you an exact number. I mean, myself, I'm college educated and fell right into it. But at the time when I found LuLaRoe and ended up joining, I was in a vulnerable, kind of few years anyways, leading up to finding it and then transitioning, into finally doing something social. So that's where they got me. I was really unhappy beforehand, but yeah, they play into all of that. But as far as college educated, I'm just guessing, probably half.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I think
honestly,
Carla makes an interesting point though, as well there, though, because it does seem like they almost have multiple avenues where you can go. Like it could be someone who's not college educated, but again, someone who's coming out of trauma or grief or and I think in this country in general, I think a lot of folks are just lonely in general for a variety of reasons. And if something is able or marketed as a community and you can make $1, right? Like that seems like the best of both worlds. Why wouldn't someone choose that?
I mean, I understand. I sell Girl Scout cookies on the side. I get it.
Hey.
Do you see some sort of similarities between MLMs in general, or maybe LuLaRoe specifically, and the sort of cult of QAnon and Trump and all of that kind of stuff? Because to me, they look the same.
I don't know a lot about the QAnon, but I would have to assume and do a really good guess that a lot of the same cognitive dissonance, the cult tactics of, you're with us, a lot of the open-ended questions that we're going to support you. We've never done anything wrong, right? A lot of the
Oh.
commercial cults play into the same way that those leaders may be talking to their followers as well. Like, we're going to change this. We're doing good. LuLaRoe's thing was blessing lives and helping others.
How do you go against that? How do you go
Right.
against
Yeah.
that?
QAnon saving the children while storming
go
butterfly reserves.
I was gonna say, how do you go against saving the children? Right? That's the
Sure. Yeah.
So does it work like where if they say you're free to leave whenever you want, if you just want to walk out on your whole life and all of your people here, like, do they do that kind of thing? It's like traditional cult stuff.
Yeah, actually, I mentioned in one of the podcasts, I thought about quitting LuLaRoe within 6 months of joining. Honestly, it was like actually 4 months later. And I was told that it would be a sad day if there was no LuLaRoe Carla Hadfield. So the guilt kind of tactics.
Wow.
Now, and for somebody that was lonely and trying to put her life back together, that's no secret that's where I was at the time in my life. I'm very open about that. But so for me, it makes me think, gosh, would people be sad?
And that question's enough to like keep you there.
Yeah, it is,
crazy.
because when you come back and you're like, oh, well, I didn't think of it that way. Now your upline now has another opportunity to say, yes, you've done so good. If you leave now, it would never, it won't be the same. And
you'll be letting everybody down.
Yes. So yeah, essentially not in those words verbatim, but absolutely that happens all the time.
That is crazy. And also, like,
nobody thinks that.
Weirdly kind of gets me to the thing about, like, you ended up with this Airstream in part because of LuLaRoe, and how did that happen?
Yeah, well, that started out great in the beginning. As far as finding it and what the Airstream has done for me as a whole, that's
it's your brand. It's the thing that you are now, right? So that's great.
I don't think I would have been brave enough to purchase an Airstream, take it on the road and do all of that. That part was very healing for me. The actual person that I bought it from, though, terrible person, direct nephew of the owner of LuLaRoe. I bought the Airstream from him, and there were a few shady things in the beginning with the purchase and delivery of the Airstream. And a year and a half later, he ended up scamming me royally. It's touched on in the documentary. The full story isn't in the documentary, but a decent portion of it. There's a full story of it on a couple of podcasts. So
yeah, and I think he's facing various indictments and lawsuits and stuff too.
He was charged with 26 second-degree felonies. He managed to swindle over $100,000 out of accounts left by my late husband. And so that's what makes this, it's an emotional process. And I didn't even know this at the time, but apparently if he continues his restitution agreement, once he's paid off, his record is wiped clean.
Oh,
so you can steal a child's future and trample all over the memory of my late husband, pay it off and walk away free. And, meanwhile, that's a lot of, that trauma sticks around.
It does. Also, he hung out with Smash Mouth a lot, so that can't be good.
Yeah. And I believed everything when it was happening. I was helping plan some of the tour logistics for Wyclef. I was helping run merch booths. I while it was happening in that 4 or 5 month time frame, I didn't have any reason not to trust him. I thought he was one of my best friends. I truly did.
I would say that, silver lining on that is we wouldn't know each other if you didn't have that Airstream, because I saw the Airstream at the fair at Fairfax, and I was like, I got to go check that out. And I dare say it is your brand, right? Is that not like the thing? Everybody knows you from your purple trailer.
Yeah.
And it has a name.
Oh yeah, the trailer. So the business is Decades Rock and Pop, and the trailer is nicknamed Stevie
Right.
after Steven Tyler and Stevie Nicks,
Sure.
my two just childhood idols. Well, still now, but as far as music goes, yeah. So
Well, the next time
actual
you're back in Virginia, I cannot wait because
Mhm.
my now 3.5-year-old is absolutely obsessed with Aerosmith and Queen
Aw.
and like all kinds of just rock stuff. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know, and so I showed her, you know, and I got her into it, and she was way into it. It's fantastic. She started watching Boston videos today, and she's like,
Oh
man, those
my
guys can play.
gosh.
Yeah, I know. I'm very proud of her.
That's crazy awesome. I love that. And kids love the Airstream too because it's like their size, kind of like a
Yeah.
dollhouse they can walk into. They're mesmerized.
It's a
And
lot
we've
of
done
fun.
so much since you saw it, 2.5 years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, we've done a lot inside.
So I gotta ask you about the documentary.
Yeah.
Do you get to hang out with like the other Discovery TLC stars, like the MythBusters and the Sister Wives and all that stuff? And follow up, can you get a meet and greet from my wife with the 90 Day Fiancés because she loves that show?
Me too.
I actually love that show too. Like,
Oh, you love it too?
yeah, when that's on, that is my night. Nobody talks to me. It's like that's
She
it.
tapes it and then she watches the Pillow Talk version of it too, which is the same show but with extra people.
I'll say
Yeah.
when I catch it, when it's on in my house and I catch it on there, you can't help but watch it. Then sometimes I start interacting like, yo, like how didn't see that coming? Like, what is that?
I can't keep track of them. They all seem kind of the same to me.
I mean,
Well,
yes, a little bit.
this particular season, now when I'm watching it, especially in the beginning, I was just, I'm sure your wife was too, yelling at the screen with some of these ladies that, you know, look like essentially they're being scammed. And I am so vigilant and can see these things from a mile away.
I can only
And
imagine.
I'm like,
right?
no.
But isn't everybody getting scammed on that show? Like, isn't that the whole deal? Is that it's all the Americans are running a scam on the non-Americans, and the non-Americans are running a scam on the Americans. It's all a scam.
Yeah,
all under the guise of love.
Yeah,
pretty much. Although there's quite a few that I follow and sometimes we'll chat with on Instagram or whatever that actually are still in a legitimate relationship.
No, I've seen some of them in the Pillow Talk ones, and they seem like they're definitely getting by. I'm not like
them too.
I understand that people get together and they love each other. It's fine. Like I don't actually care about that. But what I want to know is, so like when you chat with them, tag me on some of those posts, will you? Because I really it would score like major points if for Valentine's Day I could get my wife, a signed, I don't know what, from somebody on the 90 Day. I don't care which one. They're all the same to me. I wouldn't know. But that would be really something. Also, MythBusters. My 6-year-old calls that the Boom Show. Loves the Boom Show. Yeah, it's the Boom Show. Of course it is.
You know that you can get cameos. Do you know what?
I know. I'm also poor. So
I don't even know how much those are.
a couple $100, but I don't have an Airstream, so I can't just raise that kind of money.
Shoot, I can't either. I mean, it's February, it's retail, so
that's right. Yeah. So how's the online store and the brick and mortar going? By the way,
it's going good. It's going good. The Airstream's good. We're gonna try to redo the floors before she goes out for the busier parts of the season, and things are good. The website's awesome. I have a girl that works with me. I call her the queen of everything. Her name is Lexi. And she does a lot of our graphic design stuff. She's full-time during the season. And then, in the off season, she's still working more part-time hours. She designed most of the entire website and she did a fantastic job.
So we want to tell everybody to go there where if you're looking on the screen, you can find the links. And when we post links to the show, we're going to send everybody over there. So they can buy actual stuff from the. Can they also keep track of where you're going to be, like your tour schedule?
Yeah, absolutely. Once we have the Airstream back out on the website, there is a tab that says tour dates.
Beautiful.
So that'll have everything listed. Right now, if you're semi-local to the tri-state area, Cincinnati, Lexington, Louisville, any of those, we do have a small store. It's in Florence Mall, weekends through April. And then there'll be some crossover, obviously, because the Airstream will go out probably third week of March or so. And we'll have both of them running for a while there, and then the website as well, which we still have an awesome. T-shirts are literally dirt cheap, and they're handmade. We print in-house, and they're $20.22. I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
Well, and there and I saw you doing like a bleach tie-dye distress kind of video where you're like, I mean, so when she says handmade, she means it. It's her.
I mean it.
Her hands.
Yeah. We have a partner that helps sometimes print. But we do have a second setup, and I do a lot of the bleaching. If you do see a bleach tee on the website in your size, snag it, because it's got to be done outside. It's got to be at least 40 degrees. It can't be windy. There's a whole set of factors that goes into it that nobody really realizes. So the bleach tees are hit or miss right now, but there's a lot of Rolling Stones. There's a lot of Tom Petty. There's a lot of Led Zeppelin.
Nice.
I know those three for sure. So if they're in your size, snag it, because we probably won't be able to do those, guarantee them, until maybe March. So another 4 or 5 weeks.
Definitely gonna get.
I like the tea towels.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those are so
those are so good.
He likes the sayings on.
Those are so funny.
We don't make those. Fresh out of fucks.
Oh yeah, the fresh out of dainty as.
So good.
Yeah. Now that's a brand partner that I've had since the day Decades opened.
Wow.
I love her. She's my friend. She's from Texas. Her name's Missy. She started the business. She's a single mom as well. So yeah,
They're awesome.
Keep the connections tight,
Of course. All right. Speaking of connections, we have one more thing we want to do with you before we let you go, which is we want to make you play this game called Florida or Nah.
Oh, yes. I love this game.
Okay. So for those who don't know, this is where we're going to tell you a story with the locational details removed. And then you're going to tell us whether this happened in Florida or not in Florida. I'm going to give you a very brief synopsis of what we're going to do. And then I'm hoping that Brian has the video because there's an actual video component to this.
Wow, video today.
Yeah, we've graduated. We've got a video component to this.
Ooh.
So we're going to have him play that. So here is what we know. A war of words escalated the second an unidentified customer at a Golden Corral lifted a high chair over his head and wielded it like a hatchet. Some diners scattered for safety. Others looked for other potential weapons inside the restaurant. Some started filming the melee on their phones with added commentary that was a little bit funny.
Oh my gosh.
On Friday afternoon, about 40 customers turned what was a Golden Corral into a WWE main event with patrons throwing high chairs and regular chairs, all kinds of stuff. Now, this fight started over steak. The one customer got their steak before the other customer, and then there was a run on the steak. They're out of steak, they said, and they all freaked out and flipped out. And this is what ensued. Okay.
You can't be stealing people's meat, so.
Right. Now, Golden Corral issued a statement saying that they did not, in fact, run out of steak, and the dispute was over. One guy had a steak that he wanted rare, and the other guy wanted the steak more done, and that's why he got his first, because, of course, it's a rare steak. It takes less time. That's how things work. And I would point out from a personal perspective, obviously the guy with the rare steak was right, and the guy with the well-done steak is an idiot. But, okay, looking at this video, what you know from the story, is this in Florida or not in Florida? Florida or not?
It sounds like it should be, but I'm going to go with nah.
Okay, what's your reasoning?
It just seems a little It sounds more like Detroit. It doesn't. Their voices don't even sound Southern to me. It sounds like
Okay. Good
I'm
context
going
clues.
with like something that would happen in like Detroit or.
All right.
It doesn't sound Southern either at all. It doesn't sound it at all. Not
Well,
that
as it turns out, it was Bensalem, Pennsylvania. So yes, you correctly got that right. I think now you're 2 for 2 on Florida or not, if I recall.
I think so.
So that's I think you might have a record for that. The context clues I saw a guy carrying a jacket in one of these. And it's obviously not Florida. Yeah, and people are wearing long pants.
Wearing long sleeves. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that why would they need that in Florida? But it's a insane thing. Have you ever been in a fight in a Golden Corral?
No, and I'm trying to think of like Golden Corral, like Waffle House, like all these places where you would typically expect it to happen. I don't think I've never witnessed anything like that in public, and I've seen a lot.
Yeah. The throwdown at the Sizzler.
Yeah.
Tez, have you ever?
First of all, the throwdown in the Sizzler sounds like an old boxing match. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
George Foreman was in that.
I know, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the wild. Yeah. I feel like I've seen them, but nothing in like a restaurant. Not like people usually when I see them in restaurants.
What would make you fight at a Golden Corral?
Me walking into the Golden Corral. I'm sorry. I took out a lot of folks there. I'm sorry. If you like
Don't
Golden
worry,
Corral,
our audience is not a big Golden Corral audience.
I don't even know the last time I went to a Golden Corral.
No. I think I was drunk.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was like 8 in the morning. You know, they were open. Whatever. Who cares?
I'll fight. I start fighting myself when I go into Golden Corral.
Yeah. You know who always
fight with.
Yeah, you fight yourself.
You know who always starts a fight at a Golden Corral? Your stomach. And it usually wins. And the Charmin Bears usually lose. That's how that goes.
It's your mind against the plate. Should I put that on? No.
I'm doing it anyway. It's free. I'm doing it. Yep. I didn't need 16 pounds of macaroni, but I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah, it's on my plate.
Right, yeah. So I can't waste it. My mother's watching.
I was gonna say some people starve.
Oh man! All right. Well, you won Florida or not?
Yes.
You've got a fantastic shop. Before we let you go, because it is getting late, we know it's a school night. We want to make sure that you tell everybody one more time where it's the website they can follow. They can get all your stuff, do all the things.
Yeah. So the website is decadesrockandpop.com. We're on Instagram. On Instagram, there's a link tree on the bio that can get you to a couple of the podcasts that I've done. Actually, they're all on there. I'll link this as well.
Fantastic. Thank you.
People always know where to find it. And there's a TikTok. There's a Facebook business page. There's all kinds of stuff. And then you can do the link tree. You can listen the full story of how everything happened with the trailer. There's some fun stuff around that. Episode 80, Life After MLM. The podcast link is on the Instagram and the link tree. So and there's awesome specials. I can't keep them at that price forever, but there's some amazing stuff. And I mean, Van Halen, Motley Crue, Grateful Dead, everything from like your Elvis, your early years to your early 90s. There's a ton. There's over 30 prints right now.
Nice.
We've
chat audience, go spend some money.
Yeah, definitely. Go buy some stuff. Forget our merch. It's pretty crap anyway. Go buy hers. It's much better.
A lot better. A lot better. Let's not get ourselves down.
All right. So we'll let you go. We know it's late. We have like the third half of the show to do, which we're vastly running out of time, but it's going to be fantastic. Carla, thank you so much. It's so good to see you. I can't wait till you come back to Virginia. We're going to make extra time to come out and hang out. And we're just going to come party in the Airstream if that's all right.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great. And congrats on the new baby.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Baby Meatloaf is very excited. So
we'll bring booze. It won't be like those what's in them.
Yeah, we're right. We're gonna bring booze. We're gonna hang out in the Airstream. Hopefully, you'll have new Meatloaf prints when you come back because Meatloaf departed right around the time that that my baby Meatloaf arrived, which my cousin Ben figured out means that she's a Meatloaf llama. So that's how it's like the Dalai Lama, but more bat out of hell and less peace on earth.
Yeah,
all good. It's fine.
make
Everybody's
one.
happy.
Yeah, we can always do customs too. If you see something on there, you can email and you want something made, you can email Alexis at decadesrockandpop.com.
There you go.
Handles all. She starts in with all the custom orders run by Alexis first.
There you go. All right, cool. We'll post that link and we'll make sure everybody knows. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go to a break.
Carla.
You've been listening to Chip Chat on Ripped Radio Network.
Sweet.
That was awesome. That was so fun.
What is a man to a king and a king to a cat? What is a cat to a devil? Putting up a facade. I need an outlet now. I need to write this down. Hi, it's been a minute since we had a chat, but time is spinning in it, finna make it fast. Your success is a bitch, why complain that you're looking the best? When you're rich and you're famous, I'm fucking depressed. Stuck in a mess, I pretend stuff was in the trash. Got a couple ins and outs that don't involve crashes. So ask me, so how have you been? Did you want fiction, addiction, a public mental snapping? How did this happen? You're ready to rattle some bones, taking our dip to follow a script and never look back at the demons at home. Rain and shame inside the brain like this, too bad you ain't a keeper. Changing difficulty midway through the game to be a sleeper. Just pretend it's nothing, and there's one thing, getting one thing. I never stop one thing, always one thing. I'll always keep wanting more. What is a man to a king and a king to a cat? What is a cat to a devil? Putting up a facade. I need an outlet now. I need to write this down. Dear diary, I'm still a fucking basket case. I say I'll keep on trucking, but the fact is cars don't run in space. I'm feeling angsty and thankless and like I fell from grace and zero gravity, having me thinking like I got no place I'm dating. The crowd is waiting, but my internal rating is what kind of shady it's lately. I'm just an alien sailing on my self-made BS that I shell. I tell my fans they'll do well, shut from the mouth and I dwell. Does this ring any bells that I don't mention the hell? And change the topic from the hot tip that they probably won't sell. I paint a pretty little image, it looks swell from a distance, blacking out the spell that gave us nobody in existence. Called just pretend it's nothing, and there's one thing, getting one thing. I never stop one thing, always one thing. I'll always keep wanting more. What is a man to a king and a king to a cat? What is a cat to a devil? Putting up a facade. I need an outlet now. I need to write this down. Just pretend it's nothing, and there's one thing, getting one thing. I never stop one thing, always one thing. I'll always keep wanting more. What does a demon believe in a king or a god? I tell them dice to believe, and so what are the odds? I get my outlet now. I gotta write this down.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I hope we're on. Welcome back. Hi, I'm Chip. Tez, you ready?
Hey, what's up? Yo, what's popping?
Okay.
Breaking news.
We do have breaking news. All right, so we have two stories left to cover. We're going to cover one of them in 2 seconds. The new name and logos and all that stuff for the Washington football team, they're not great. I don't like it. I don't hate it. It's better than some of the other ideas that they had. I don't like the alternate third jersey because the iron-on patches look like iron-on patches that they only thought of after the fact. They don't match and they look stupid. I like the burgundy. I like the away whites. They look good. I like the helmet. That's okay. The name is, innocuous. It can't hurt anybody, I guess.
Until people say commies.
Yeah, which we prefer Democratic Socialists. Thank you. So that's fine. I'm fine with that. The Washington Commies. I mean, people already call us that anyway. I don't care.
Yeah,
If they keep the name Commies, they're going to move the team to Tacoma Park. That's what's going to happen.
Look, at least from what I've seen, and now that I'm an American citizen, I can have honest conversations around.
That's right.
Communism. I gotta know. People usually throw commies around when they want to suppress folks, asking for just fair workers' rights. But what do I know? Proletariat. Anyways,
so the Washington football team has a proud history of support.
Labor rights.
Yes, labor rights. Okay.
Woo! Anyway,
good. We got that out of the way. That's garbage. Now let's talk about the rest of the NFL.
What's happening?
Okay, well, so there's a Super Bowl that's coming up. The Bengals are playing the Rams, right? Which are not in St. Louis anymore.
If the Bengals win, we should have Carla back on.
Yes, we'll have Carla back. She's our only Bengals friend,
Yeah.
really. I don't actually know anybody else from Cincinnati on purpose.
I might have a Bengal as like a tiger, a real tiger as a friend, like before I have anybody I knew.
It's the year of the tiger, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
So people are predicting, okay, and the Rams, of course, who moved to St. Louis because LA wouldn't build them a new stadium, and then threatened St. Louis to build them a new stadium, who wouldn't do it. So then they moved back to LA to spend actual time in their old stadium at the Coliseum for another year before they got SoFi, which is where the Super Bowl is being held. They are playing at home for the Super Bowl. This is the second time in a row.
Was it public? Was that
and I protest that.
Yes, I protest that too. I think it's bullshit. That's Brian, our esteemed producer. Brian, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Okay, so yes, getting to play at home for the Super Bowl is bullshit. It should never happen. There should always be a way around that.
How many times has it happened in NFL history?
Twice in a row now.
Twice, back to back. This is the first time back to back.
Well, first of all, the money is involved with this one here, and we knew LA. This was happening no matter what. It's a new stadium. New stadiums get built. We have the Super Bowl there. It's just
new stadiums in southern locales or with domes get new stadium. You get Super Bowl.
And
that's
SoFi,
fine.
And SoFi is kind of both.
Was that stadium? Was this stadium? Did Kroenke build this by himself? I don't know.
The NFL
it's public.
Built that. The NFL.
Oh, the NFL
because they wanted to bring football back to LA, and they pretty much wanted to have the way it's built and its surrounding.
I hope LA didn't no tax money
infrastructure. Yeah, is pretty much they wanted to make it like sort of like NFL Central. So
Garcetti wouldn't give them the money from the city, so the NFL basically came up with the money on this condition that they would move San Diego to LA and that the Rams would come back, and it was all a very three-way deal. As it turns out, the NFL excellent at shady fucking deals. So
that's
the Super Bowl. That is not the story in the NFL.
Hold on, I got breaking news. I have
breaking news. What is breaking news?
Former Eagles head coach Doug Peterson, the Jaguars reportedly agreed to a contract as a new coach. Hey, go ahead. Look, Khan. Let me be quiet. I'll save my stuff for Khan later on.
Yeah, he's in a whole nother category of owner. But look, Doug Peterson is a decent enough coach. He probably deserves another chance at a head coaching job.
Oh, another chance?
Yeah.
Oh, another chance.
Yeah, you know what he has that Brian Flores doesn't have?
Yeah.
Not
just Brian Flores. I mean, this is perfect segue.
You know what he has Dennis Green got a second chance. Yeah, Tony Dungy won 2 Super Bowls, so that's a little different. But what does he have?
No, he only won one. He only won one.
Oh, that's right. He only won one, but he got he did get a second chance, and he got okay. So what is it about Doug Peterson that means that he deserves a second chance?
He's not a bad coach. He's not.
That's true.
I just feel like when he was in Philadelphia, he was after the Super Bowl 51 win, everything just fell apart.
Because they won it with Nick Foles, and then they started Carson Wentz the next year because they're fucking morons.
Yeah,
but
they wanted Carson Wentz to be their main guy, but he just couldn't stay healthy enough. But
somehow I feel like that's not the thing, though.
I know what you think. I think I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because his name is Doug, right? Doug's getting extra chances.
You know what? And similar to Doug,
like Funny. Doug Flutie,
or right? And Doug Funny and Doug Flutie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Doug Funny. I remember him. He had a great show. He had a blue friend named Skeeter.
He had a blue friend. Right. And remember, like, it's okay because Doug, similar to Doug Peterson, is white.
That's true. And his girlfriend was named Mayonnaise.
Yeah, and his friend was black. Come on now,
Skeeter.
He's
blue.
Black.
Nickelodeon wasn't ready for a black character, just a blue one.
Only the Rugrats. Only Susie was too much.
Susie came later. Susie was a second generation Rugrat.
Right, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we talking about here? What are we really talking about? Brian Flores, who was the coach of the Miami Dolphins, came in and inherited the worst team in probably at least a decade, if not a little longer, in the history of football. and he turns them around and he leaves with a winning record. He delivers 2 winning seasons back to back. He wins 8 out of his last 9 games. He turned Tua into an NFL quarterback, which probably he isn't. And he's like a standout guy. And I have a number of friends who are Miami Dolphins fans, and I can't find one of them that wanted him gone. They all loved Flores. Like he was the savior of the organization.
And I listen to a lot of Dan Le Batard, so I hear a lot of South Florida stuff, right? A lot of South Florida sports. And one of that obviously came up. But another thing that came up is obviously the Dolphins for a long time were pursuing Deshaun Watson, right? There was that talk throughout the year, right? And they were going to say Deshaun Watson, as we know, is been accused of, and I don't know, it's a lot of accusations. So I know you're innocent until proven guilty, but it's just a lot of accusations, right, of some nefarious behavior and sexual assault and a lot of deviant behavior but right, that was a big thing with the Dolphins and in Miami. And after Flores got let go, it almost came out, which I hadn't heard of the whole year. It almost came out that Flores was the one that was really pushing to have Deshaun Watson, and that Stephen Ross was being used as cover. So there's even at that point, I was like, well, I never. And then you started hearing reports around Flores like being, for lack of a better word, a cancer in the locker room and being too much of a football coach. And these are things that I didn't hear all through the season. So I said, well, and again, I don't watch.
Hold on, wait a minute. Is it the Miami badminton team? Like, what? He was too much of a football coach?
Yeah, he was screaming at people.
Ross wasn't interested in Deshaun. Ross was interested in Brady. He wanted to get Flores to break the rules about tampering and trying to get Brady to come over there. And Flores wasn't willing to do it. So he set up this damn meeting with him on a boat with Brady attended, and Flores sees Brady coming in and he goes, fuck this shit, and he leaves. The dude played his cards as straight as possible, and he got banged for it. That's exactly what happened. On top of the other obvious thing. Because Deshaun was in Houston. Guess what else Houston had in common with Miami up until the end of this year? And guess what they now have in common with Miami?
Yeah, they fired their black coach after 1 year. So
I will say with that one there though, I think he knew, like, I'm coming in, I'm getting this bread, and I'm gonna get out of here. He got a nice penny.
Look,
Houston
is a dysfunctional shit house of an organization.
He was like, please just come in here and take this over.
They've got some sort of like carnival preacher running their organization now as their GM because he was like, I don't know, Brady's soothsayer or whatever. The whole thing is fucking stupid.
But that doesn't change what I've been talking about for a long time, why I have an RIP over this damn shield, why I tell everybody about this damn league. It's just too hard. It's too hard as a black person. It's too difficult to deal with this damn league at this point. I don't know how. But again, I understand that football is a drug, and drugs are addictive. And again, it is difficult to break your addiction. But there's a problem here with the sport y'all love. Come on, y'all, talk to me. What is going on?
Okay, look, I'm Brian. I don't mean to speak for you directly here, but I'm gonna say in our defense, like, you are morally correct, Tez, in every sense of every. You're right. You're right. I'm still gonna watch football. I love football. I think Brian is gonna love football regardless. Like,
I'll add this caveat. I respect your stance on why the way things. I feel like the way things are and probably will continue to be until finally there's some balls within the ownership and the commissioner's office to realize the fact that this Rooney Rule is bullshit. All you're doing is all you've done is just
There's gambling in casinos too, Brian. Did you know that?
Yeah. Well, that too, but that was inevitable. That's a whole other issue.
No, but, I mean, like, I'm shocked to find out there's gambling in this casino.
Right.
The Rooney Rule is
especially
bullshit.
when you go to
obviously.
Yes. So, I mean, honestly, I feel like someone like Flores being fired after, your team is coming from mediocrity in a division that was so difficult to win from one team. And finally, you're sort of like being sort of like, hey, you have a chance now. And then once you get fired, you can't even get a pretty decent job. You get the Giants, the two teams that, even though Denver and I forgot the other team, that pretty much just sort of like, had them walk into the door and then walk right out, because they didn't want them.
It was Denver and New York.
Yeah, Denver, New York. New York, I felt was the perfect choice for him. Was the perfect spot for him. But you pick up some random dude who no one even thought about, the Bills offensive coordinator, who looked like, just like the guy they just fired. I mean, is that what you want?
Can I read
No.
Can I read?
Well, no, but you said the important thing. He looks like the guy you just fired.
Looks. It's all about the looks, and I feel like the Jaguars made the biggest mistake.
Biggest
Doug
one.
Peterson is a good Doug, but unfortunately, I felt like your best option was Brian Leftwich. He's a former player for
He's
this
right
goddamn
there, and
team.
he's not just is he a former player, but
I'm biased with that, obviously. I'm biased from him being from DC and H.G. Woods or whatever. But
of course, but look at the impact he's had as an OC. I mean, come on.
And let me add another bit.
He
to this.
won that Super Bowl too. Like, come on.
Here's another bit. So Josh McDaniels again. Now you talk about someone getting a second chance. Josh McDaniels was pretty much kicked the fuck out of Denver. As bad as crazy he was, and somehow he gets another job with the Raiders. But you don't even look at Eric Bieniemy, who was the top man in offense for the best team in the division for 4 straight years, and you picked a nut job.
Hold on, Can I read something out of the lawsuit? Because we talked about.
While you're pulling that up, I want to mention that the Texans have been working overtime to hire McCown as a head coach who has never coached anything.
Wait, hold on. Which McCown?
Josh McCown, the quarterback,
the one who took all the Kaepernick jobs.
Yes.
Yes. No. Hold on.
Yes. They've interviewed him like 3 times for a head coach job, but the guy's never even been a coordinator. I mean, he has no reason to even be having this conversation.
He's gonna be the Jason Kidd of the NFL.
Hold on, let me. Okay,
ready at the Steve Nash of the NFL. That's what he's gonna be.
Yeah, except Steve Nash was a better player than McCown was by a lot.
Yeah, double time MVP, 2 MVPs. All right. But hold on, listen to this. Just outside of because it just goes back because we mentioned the Broncos and we talk about obviously the Giants and just around the sham interview. Incredibly, this was not Mr. Flores' first sham interview that was held only in an effort to comply with the Rooney Rule. Indeed, in 2019, Mr. Flores was scheduled to interview with the Denver Broncos. However, the Broncos' then general manager John Elway, president and chief executive officer Joe Ellis, and others showed up an hour late to the interview. They looked completely disheveled, and it was obvious that they had been drinking heavily the night before. It was clear from the substance of the interview that Mr. Flores was interviewed only because of the Rooney Rule and that the Broncos never had any intention to consider him as a legitimate candidate for the job. Shortly thereafter, Vic Fangio, a white man, was hired to be the head coach of the Broncos. Now, this comes Howard Bryant, awesome journalist, does a lot of stuff for HBO.
Sure.
Amazing. He does that. He's picked this out and he attached this to a tweet, which he has 2 of these that I want to talk on, which are just huge. He said, many people in the job market have been here, putting your best suit on, flying across the country, preparing as a professional because we are forced to believe in quote unquote merit and then sit through a humiliating farce before flying home, quote unquote. This was great. You'll be hearing from us.
Right.
And like I saw that.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
Right. And I saw that and I was just like, good God, man. Like what are we doing? And I just want to give one more out of this. I want to read one more out of this because again, Howard Bryant touches on something where we see this, right? As alleged in the race norming lawsuit, the National Football League has been avoiding paying head injury claims under settlement agreements based on a formula identifying qualifying diagnosis that explicitly and deliberately discriminates on the basis of race.
Of course, right.
Right.
Yeah.
When being evaluated, the test that they do, they basically are saying, right, that black former players, if they end up scoring the same as like a white former player and they have the same exact scores, they go ahead and the black players presumed to have suffered less impairment,
right?
Because he's therefore likely to qualify for compensation.
Less compensation. I mean, the basic supposition of the NFL in this compensation agreement that they came up with is that black players are already dumber than white players. So if the black player tests poorly on this standardized test, he's not as damaged. But if the white player tests at the same score as the black player, he must be really messed up because he's so dumb. He's gone from white to black. That's the way that this stuff was written.
Right. And again, based on that, right, this is just off the color, like the color of your skin. This is the reason, right? It's genetics, right? What they're trying to make you believe.
Well, remember this whole thing. I'm not sure that they're really able to manage, or I'm not sure they're really able to be quarterbacks, or they're not really able to be head coach. Like
Howard Bryant hits it again on this because he says, this is a story that never receives enough attention. If the NFL believes 0.99, which is basically that black folks, because of their skin, aren't able to, like, right, there's a different cognitive situation going on there. It wouldn't consider hiring black coaches, right, except for force of threat of discrimination lawsuits, because you already believe that. So, like,
the fact that we have the Rooney Rule lays bare this problem. I mean, look, the story here in this whole thing is not that the NFL is racist as fuck.
Yes, you're right.
The NFL is racist as fuck. There's no question about that. I think everybody knows that. It's not just the NFL. The whole country, the whole sports organization is racist as fuck. Right. But the story here, and we were unpacking this earlier today, is two stories. One, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's involvement in this and sending these text messages to Brian Flores, who was his protege, and the people of Boston believe the rightful heir to the Belichick dynasty. People of Boston, the most racist city I've ever heard of, believe that Brian Flores should be the one who gets the
a good black.
Yeah, he's one of the good ones. Okay, Belichick knows that Daboll's getting the job, and he is willing to injure his friend Brian Flores to then take down the entire league by sending these text messages, because he knows good goddamn well that that's going to get out. And people have told me, oh, well, he's a 69-year-old man. He made a mistake. He fat-fingered. Bullshit.
No.
Bullshit.
No.
Bill Belichick doesn't make mistakes. Bill Belichick intentionally injures people. And he knew exactly what he was doing, that this was his way. He was gonna strike one against the Giants, who took 2 Super Bowls from him, and he was gonna take down Goodell in the league because he hates them, because he's mad at them for catching him for cheating or whatever. He knew that. Belichick knew what the fuck he was doing. He did that shit on purpose, and he's sitting there laughing, looking at all of us right now.
I will give Bill Belichick his due, because he's up there with when they come they
with
say
Darth Vader. That's who he's up there with.
Yeah, he's now part of. He has that tree, and except for Josh McDaniels, I think is a complete failure. But
Matt Patricia is a complete failure too.
Yeah. So, but Flores is a guy that, you can tell that he has something that he took from Bill Belichick and he put it into the Dolphins, and
absolutely
it was something really good.
The
and
defense,
to see it be cut short within 3 years, and it was the biggest shock. I feel like, Bill, it's like, as much as I hate you and on the team you're on, but I commend you for trying to help out with this situation, because really, this highly needs to be exposed, because I feel like the NFL, once again, as much as they try to promote diversity, you bring in Jay-Z and to talk about all this.
Oh, don't let me hold. I'm gonna get canceled if I talk about Jay-Z's part, because we're beyond kneeling. We're beyond kneeling at this point. And I just got point. I love Hov. I love Hov personally, like, for me.
Sure.
But I also know that he's an unapologetic capitalist at the end of the day.
Of course he is.
Like, and I get it, And like again,
so is Dre and Snoop and all. I mean, come on.
And I feel it's just kind of upsetting because like it almost feels like you brought in Jigga Man to do an act. Like
that's pretty much what it looks like to me.
Yes, it was. It was all that.
And it feels it just. I mean, and
you know who's not involved in the halftime show? Nas. That's how you know that beef is settled. Nas fucking won.
That's my goat anyway.
That's it. That's right.
But
Queensbridge. That's it.
But we're even past that. We're still talking about. We're talking about $100,000 to throw games, y'all. That's the one.
Okay, so that's the other story, right? That's the real. So the yes, Belichick throwing gas on a fire, of course, is the story because the NFL being racist is not a story. But the tanking the games, all right, on first blush, from a sort of like, surface level, that's egregious because that basically defames and attacks the fans of the football altogether, and the whole thing evaporates if you don't think you're getting a fair product or whatever.
And if you're not,
then we started to take this.
If you're not fielding a good team out there, it's not safe. If you're not,
it's right. It's also not safe for the players, but we already don't care about them because it's football. But let's take a couple of like layers off of this onion here. We find out that the Dolphins are willing to pay to tank games. They also have financial interests in the gambling that is now legal on all of this on the NFL and all the other sports because sports betting is legal because Scalia made it so. Okay, there's that. Then you peel that onion a little further and you get to this thing. Well, it turns out Marvin Lewis got offered to tank. And another black coach got offered to tank. And, I haven't seen any white coaches coming forward saying they got offered $100,000 a game to tank. And to be clear, the Jets can tank without even trying, and nobody got paid for that.
Yeah, Todd Bowles didn't get any money offered for that.
Right.
What happened with there? Todd Bowles didn't get money. And also, too, I think folks need to realize how damaging that could be for a black head coach that we already know. So let's just say you're paid that, and let's just say that someone takes that, and then you're already on a short lease.
So that's like $1.6 million if you lose every game.
Oh, God. Yeah, right. But you take that, you might never coach again.
You won't coach again.
You won't coach again.
You're already a black coach. If you don't win a Super Bowl and you're not Tony Dungy, you're not coaching again. And Dennis Green didn't win a Super Bowl, but he was the only one. So that's why he got to coach again in Arizona.
That's the thing. He at least he was respected. I felt like Lovie Smith, I felt like he got disrespected.
That was a big
tremendously.
That was a big
and look what happened there. So to me, I felt that.
How is Lovie Smith not a coordinator anywhere, defensive coordinator?
How come Todd Bowles didn't get his $100,000 per game? Because the Jets are fucking terrible.
Bad one.
I mean, again, there's just a lot there. That onion it's a huge onion, and I mean, I don't know if Outback's gonna fry it, but honestly, it's just to the point.
It's blooming right now. I tell you that.
Yeah, it may be blooming, but but the thing is like I don't think there's so much more that you need to look into this because this is just the same pun. It's the tip of the iceberg. I mean, as much as Belichick tried to help expose all this, it's just the tip of the iceberg because really you know full well this is all a bunch of the same guys doing the same thing and they're going to keep it the same way because that's how they think and feel. And until one day, hopefully the guy who's trying to buy the Denver Broncos, the brother is trying to buy the Denver Broncos. If he buys
Good
that,
luck.
things are going to change.
He's up against Elway and Manning.
I mean, and also,
Manning's
when
not a billionaire.
are the black players going to strike? That's the question. When is the playoff the players going to strike?
It's not possible in the NFL. It's not possible.
Why not?
Because the lifespan, not the lifespan, that sounds terrible, but it is kind of a lifespan thing.
The career span.
The career span, excuse me. The career span of them is too short. What is it, 3 years? And no one has enough money to be able to afford to go through a strike and to lose those game checks.
All right.
Like, there's no way. And the only way it happens is
the last strike the NFL had was 87. It was very short. Again, just based off what you just said. Since then, things have changed structurally to help benefit more for the players. And then through the years, it became more like an even slate. They'd had sort of quote unquote work stoppages, from time to time, but they were able to rectify it really quickly. I think now it needs something like this. I think maybe warranted for coaches to strike. I wouldn't say players, unless players want to help with this.
Well, could the coaches organize? I mean,
yeah,
I don't even know.
There is a coaches union. So, I mean, the thing is like, so something like this is what warranted, again, sadly, the Rooney Rule, was helped with this. But then again, at the same time, as we know full well, it says to them, it's just, hey, you showed up, you're a black dude, cool. Thank you, we don't need you, and then move out.
There were these guys who made careers of being Rooney Rule candidates. I mean, they just made a career of it. They stayed as a QB coach someplace or whatever, and that was what they did. And they just went on these interviews. They did these circuits. Everybody checked the box, and then off they went.
Right. And it's unfortunate because, and the sad thing is that when the NFL has their own network, and they don't really talk about it.
It's beyond unfortunate.
They talk about this bullshit. They talk about this dumb bullshit here,
right?
For 20 minutes or whatever, and to the point where it's like, look, this is important.
These guys make $14 billion a year. $14 billion a year. They've got F-16s flying over every goddamn thing. The league is 70% black. The fan base is overwhelmingly black. What are we talking about
here? Here's why it's unfortunate, because when you do this, you're hurting your league in a lot of different ways, because by basically just not accepting diversity, and more so even again a diversity of thought, you're limiting the ideas that these folks have as head coaches to change this game and to bring more folks in. Because even with the whole Kaepernick thing as well too, I don't think the NFL cares. They always thought about folks that said, oh, well, hey, like, you know what? All these conservatives or conservative viewership, like, what if they stop watching? But they don't care, like, if I stop watching. They didn't care about that. And I think for a while you can get away with that. I think you can continue down that road. I do always think they have an issue with the way that, especially that sport and their relationship with women.
I was going to say, look at how hard they corrected to try to make sure that women didn't abandon the NFL.
And because, again, if a mom comes and tells and says, my son's not playing football.
That's right.
You kill this sport, then dies. The RIP.
Absolutely.
On my shirt then really does become a reality. And, like, the sport itself and the issues that we see with domestic violence to women, and women still love the sport, right? Like, of
course they do.
They love the sport. Right?
My wife loves
football. As much.
It's up there just with men. But
she wants to, when we had the baby, her priority was to get out of there on that. We went in on a Friday. Her priority was to get out of there on Sunday in time to be home for the games, for playoffs.
So again, but
priorities.
Yes.
Over time, if they continue to just kind of, I don't even know if they move with this type of arrogance as a league, again, everything that's on top isn't on top forever. It's that simple. And
that's why I'm hoping for the USFL coming back in a couple months, the XFL coming back next year. I want them to fully succeed this time. They need to fully succeed because even though they'll be in the spring, but you're giving more jobs to guys who haven't got the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And secondly, it's just like the structure is completely different. You have with the XFL, everyone knows The Rock and his ex-wife owns it. And it's going to be completely differently structured. The USFL, mind you, will be stationed in one place for this opening year, but at least there's some good chances and, like I said before, opportunities for people to come in there and show that, hey, I still want to play football. The NFL everyone says the NFL is not going anywhere, and it's not. But the thing is it is still doing the same bullshit, and they don't want to change it because you still got those old-fashioned mindset owners. And like I said, Robert Goodell, who's still kissing their asses, he
works for them though.
Everything the way it was back in 1920. He may work for him, but shoot, at least Pete Rozelle had some balls and try to fight off what they were.
Rozelle was trying hell to modernize the league, and that's why they wanted to get the fuck rid of him. They needed a lapdog, and they got their lapdog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a good one. He's a good.
Yeah, he is. He is a good boy.
He's a good boy. He's a good Christian boy.
I don't know, man. Again, and the thing is, I still to this day, there's nothing better. I honestly believe in sports than like an 80-yard pass. Like I think that a quarterback. I don't think there's anything better personally. Like, and I still believe that it'll be to the end. But it's just hard for me, man, because this is just like you look at this on Sundays, and I'd rather go outside and read a book or ride my bike.
I wish I could. Look, here's the solution to all of this. Make Cap the commissioner.
Oh my
Make
God.
everybody else. Yes.
I'm
Cap
back
for
immediately.
commissioner. Cap for commissioner. That's my solution to all of this stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
Who says it's a bad idea? Find me one.
I'm not.
They're
I'm
all
not saying it's a
racist.
good idea or a bad idea. I'm saying okay. Well, I have
Cap
Yo,
for commissioner.
You know when Chappelle? When,
Hashtag.
What's the name? You know what's the name when they said Clayton take off your mask? Like that's what I see Jerry's head happening when Kaepernick becomes the commissioner of the NFL.
Hey,
I'm gonna have such a
maybe
good
that's
dream,
what we
like,
need.
When I go to bed tonight, I'm gonna have such a good dream of Cap, like coming in with a big
Commissioner
ass
Cap.
Commissioner Cap. I'm gonna tweet that right now.
Yeah, tweet it out. That's it. Hashtag Commissioner Cap for commissioner, whatever.
Right.
I don't know. Try a couple of versions of it.
I'll figure it out by tomorrow. We're having
That's going to be the thing. We want that to trend. We want to make that trending. We're going to use this show to do it. That's definitely the way to make something successful.
Right.
Okay. You hear that music? So we want to say thanks to Carla from Decades Rock and Pop,
thank
and
you,
thanks for telling us about the documentary. Go check it out.
We'll be back in 2 weeks because the Bengals are going to win.
That's right. We want to talk to you about the Bengals. So make sure you go to Discovery Plus and stream the documentary, The Rise and Fall of LuLaRoe.
Stop giving Bezos any free airtime around here, man.
No, it's Discovery Plus, not Amazon. It's different. Okay. Thanks to our radio partners, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, and maybe Spotify. We don't know.
All right.
We're going to stick around on Spotify. We're trying to decide that. If they're going to throw Rogan off, they're going to throw us off for sure. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week, we assume, although I haven't checked. Thanks to our digital media, Chimichanga, Key Wayne, Baltimore.
Keep waiting.
Thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as Whoopi Goldberg in a synagogue. All right. Where can everybody follow you on the social medias and stuff? All right, Brooke Tez.
Oh no. You can follow me on Twitter at DC Cortez and on Instagram at Catch Recording.
Good.
Oh, that's how we got that in the show today.
Yes, you can find me and the show on Twitter at ChipChatRR, and you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat, and you can find us, of course, every Thursday night here at on 9:30 here at 9:30 on Rip Radio Network. And you can catch us this Sunday on the Hangout Podcast at 11 o'clock on Rip Radio Network as well. I'm Chip. That's Tez. You're listening to Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network.